Hey guys, this is Living Dead Gal, and welcome to another CAS video. Today we are actually doing a Townie Makeover, the first one in a series of videos that I'm going to be doing. This is Caleb Vatore. I thought it would be perfect to kind of start in Forgotten Hollow for these makeovers, especially since it's October and it's spooky season. So jumping into this, I actually did a little bit of looking into the lore of Caleb. There's not much because the Vatores are introduced in The Sims 4, and I admittedly am just mostly familiar with Sims 4. I played Sims 1 as a kid. I haven't really gotten to play 2 or 3. There's kind of a gap between me as a kid playing Sims and me as an adult playing Sims. So I looked a little bit into the wiki page for Caleb and read a little bit on the backstory. I watched the old trailer for the Vampires pack to kind of get a little bit more information, because in that trailer it actually reveals who turned Caleb into a vampire as well as who turned Lilith into a vampire. I'll get back to that in just a minute, but and then I also watched Plumbella's video. She does like the entire history of like a lore for each character in the Sims game, and she's even doing like other aspects of the game besides characters too. So that's a really cool series of videos that she's been doing for a couple of years. So it gave me some insight into Caleb and kind of how I wanted to shape his look. So you'll see here, I altered his appearance, like his bone structure, just a little bit, just to make him look a little bit more realistic and kind of vibe with the style that I usually do for my Sims. And I did a little bit of tweaking and kind of looking for the perfect skin details to give him, to kind of give him that. I wanted him to still look like kind of like a fresh modern vampire, because based on everything that was shown to us in the trailer, he is turned by Miss Hell. And it seems to be like a fairly recent turn. It's not really clear when him and Lilith moved to Forgotten Hollow, but the idea is, I'm pretty sure that they're kind of like modern vampires, and the sort of iconic Caleb emo hair, he just has that look about him. Like, I know that they have him dressed in more of like an old school jacket, but I just felt that I wanted to kind of modernize these two. So for Caleb, I wanted to make sure that he still looked kind of like young and fresh, but also give him like a little bit of a hardened look, just because he is now a vampire, and you'll kind of see that with some of the skin details that I selected with him. I ended up going back a couple of times and kind of restructuring different aspects of his face, just to make sure that I really had it the way I was envisioning in my head. And I just really wanted to do him justice, because another thing that I thought was kind of cool, I didn't notice it until I was watching Plumbella's video, but he's actually definitely like portrayed as a bisexual character, which I think is really cool representation to have in The Sims 4. And I did not know that. I might just be an idiot and have not never like noticed that in everything I've looked up about The Sims. But in the gameplay trailer, they show him kind of charming both a female Sim and a male Sim. So I thought that was kind of an interesting piece of his character. I know that in The Sims, we don't have an attraction system without mods. So I know that technically any Sim could really go for any other Sim, but it's just kind of nice to see that representation in a trailer. And it's nice that the Sims team did that back in, I think the trailer was from 2017. I think that's when the pack was released. So I thought that was kind of cool, and made me really just want to do Caleb justice as a character, because I think he's an important character to the Sims 4 game, especially if you are into the occults and have the vampires pack and like sort of supernatural gameplay. So you'll see, I was just kind of one of the things I did was I made sure to give him his tattoo of the vampire bites. I know it's not like a tattoo, as in it's not supposed to be a tattoo, but it's meant to be like a scar. It's just found in the tattoo section. And I also gave him a couple of tattoos just because I know that the base sim doesn't have any, but I felt like they suited Caleb. And I was thinking, since we don't know a lot about where Caleb and Lilith came from, that maybe the tattoos would be like some insight into maybe his past, especially the one on the arm. Maybe it depicts something from where they were before. I don't really know. I don't have a full story with that, but I wanted him to have something that meant something that he had maybe gotten when he was a human, to kind of give me some ideas for a story that could kind of be his and Lilith's past. So that's kind of where that arm tattoo came from. And then the one on his finger I thought was really cool, and maybe it would have been like a tattoo that was a promise ring to someone in his past as well. So I thought there's a lot of different sort of story ideas that could be had with just little details like that. I also gave him an ear piercing similar to what he has in the game, just because I thought that was sort of iconic Caleb, but I did want to make it a little more subtle. And then looking for his hair, I knew this was going to be the challenging part, and I kept coming back to this hair because I wanted something that wasn't quite as in your face as the base game hair, or not the base game, the hair that comes with vampires that they had given him. But I did still want it to have a little bit of that emo vibe, and I ended up really liking this hair on him. But then once I put the hair on him, you'll kind of see that I started changing up a little bit of his face structure because something just wasn't quite working for me. So it's kind of tweaking him, and that hair, I didn't realize it when I was just creating his base, but I really needed the hair to be able to kind of get his face right. And originally I wanted to go with the black swatch of the hair, but it felt a little bit too far off from Caleb, because Caleb has like that dark brown hair in the game, so I ended up switching it back, as you'll see here. Surprisingly, those little updates, those tweaks to the bone structure took me way more time than picking out his outfits. I didn't want to change him too much because, you know, again, I still wanted him to be Caleb, and I did think that the base sim that they gave us was pretty good for Caleb, but I did a few things with his eyes and with his cheeks just to give him a little more definition, and again, kind of match the realistic look that I tend to go for my sims, especially because I'll be putting the makeovers that I do of Townies in like a save file for myself, so that going forward I have this version of them in all of my games. So that was kind of why I did a little bit of the like plastic surgery route with him. I probably will do that occasionally in the Townie makeovers. I'll try to keep it as minimal as possible, but sometimes I just find that the proportions and the shapes are a little more cartoony than what I'm going for. And so that's kind of where you'll see me make those tweaks. I also wanted to give him black nail polish because I just definitely felt like that's something he would have. You'll also see when I go back and show you the formal wear, I kind of went back and forth on his formal attire because it was really old school looking, and I'm kind of going with this sort of modern day vampire look for him. But it seemed almost like an alpha version of what he normally wears. So I really wanted to put that on him, and I thought, okay, well maybe for their formal outfits, for the vampire sims, I'll go like all out and pretend that it's if they go to this like vampiric ball with all of these old school elder vampires. So that's where that came from. And the rest of his look was pretty fun to style because I imagine him being someone who has like a certain flair. I mean, he's already kind of styled like that in the game, but it's not necessarily like a high fashion flair, but his looks definitely have an attitude about them. So I wanted to bring that attitude to the table, but also still give him that sort of vampire gothic feel. Not like a gothic style, just like an old school gothic vampire feel as far as the color palette that he's wearing. So I'm pretty happy with how he turned out. I know it'll probably be like a shock to people who are used to Maxis Match Caleb and the base game Caleb, but this was just kind of like my vision for him. Hopefully you guys don't hate it too much. And another thing I was kind of doing in my head, I was just really taking a lot of inspiration from the Vampire Diaries, because I don't think it's confirmed or anything, but just in different videos I'd watched and things I'd read, a lot of people speculated that maybe them being named the Vatore siblings was kind of like a nod to the Salvatore brothers in the Vampire Diaries, which that is my absolute favorite show of all time. I watched it when I was in like my early 20s, and I can still sit and rewatch it. I still have all the seasons. I have books about the show. It's hands down my favorite show ever. And so that's kind of where I drew some inspiration for pieces of the looks, not all of it. I definitely didn't really style him like any of the characters. It's just different pieces that I could see fitting into the look of that show, if that makes sense. And you'll see when I do his dark form that I actually definitely kind of pull inspiration as far as the detailing that I add around his eyes. So that's kind of just my little nod to the Vampire Diaries. I really want to do a create a sim of the Vampire Diaries characters, but I feel like I need to get a little bit better at making sims because it's gonna take me hours if it doesn't match, and it'll bother me. But yeah, so we're getting close to the end of this video. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and the next Townie Makeover that we'll be doing will be Lilith, and then we'll kind of go from there. But if you like this video and you'd like to see more content like this, please go ahead and give me a little thumbs up below, leave a comment, and if you could subscribe, that would be awesome too. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all are having a great week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
Try to fix my